The ruins were silent, broken, and filled with dust. Every step the human soldier took echoed in the hollow chamber. His boots pressed against cracked stone, and loose pieces of marble scattered under his weight. Once, this place had been a grand hall, a palace perhaps, but now it stood like a skeleton of forgotten glory. Moonlight spilled through broken arches, cutting the darkness with silver light. The soldier tightened his grip on his rifle, though his arms trembled from exhaustion. He had been walking for days, fighting enemies, and surviving with nothing but instinct and will. His armor was scratched, his shoulders heavy, but something had pulled him here, something more than chance. He stopped. There, at the far end of the ruined chamber, someone stood. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light. A shadow, or maybe the broken statue of a queen left behind in this shattered place. But then she moved. A tall figure, elegant even in torn silks. Her dress was once bright with royal colors, but now it was faded and dirty, threads hanging loose from years of hiding. Her hair shone faintly in the moonlight, long and silver like flowing water. And her eyes widened the instant they met his. The soldier froze, heart pounding. He had seen aliens before, in war and in peace, but this one, there was something different about her. Something fragile. Something ancient. She did not scream. She did not run. She simply stood there, frozen, as if she had seen something impossible. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. The soldier raised his hand slowly, letting his weapon hang at his side. His voice was calm, careful. "I'm not here to hurt you." Still, she did not move. Her chest rose and fell quickly, her hands clutching the broken pendant that hung around her neck. She looked at him with eyes full of shock, fear, and something deeper he could not yet name. For a moment, the silence was unbearable. He felt the weight of her gaze pressing against him, heavy with meaning he did not understand. Finally, a whisper slipped from her lips. "Human." The soldier blinked. He had expected her to call him enemy, intruder, or monster. But the way she said that single word, it was not filled with hate. It was filled with something else. Recognition. She took a small step back, her body trembling. "It cannot be," she murmured, almost to herself. Her voice cracked, breaking like fragile glass. "Not again. Not you." The soldier frowned, confusion twisting inside his chest. He had never seen her before in his life. He had never set foot in this world until the war dragged him here. Yet the way she looked at him was as if he carried her past in his very face. He wanted to speak, to ask what she meant, but the words died in his throat. He could only stare, caught in the strange bond forming in the silence between them. Her silver eyes glistened, shining with unshed tears. Her hands shook harder, clutching that broken pendant as though it were her only anchor. The soldier felt a strange ache inside. This was not the look of someone meeting a stranger. This was the look of someone seeing a ghost. And for the first time in his life, the hardened soldier felt something he could not fight with weapons or armor. He felt the pull of fate. The alien princess had frozen the moment she saw him. And though he did not yet know why, he felt in his heart that this meeting would change everything. The soldier's chest tightened as the word left her lips. Human. It was not spoken in anger. It was not spat out like an insult. No, it came from her mouth as if it were a memory, something buried deep inside her heart. The princess stepped back, her bare feet brushing against broken stones. Her body trembled as though the air itself was too heavy for her lungs. She pressed one hand against her chest, clutching her pendant as if it would shield her from what she was seeing. Her eyes never left his. Wide, silver, and full of disbelief. "It cannot be," she whispered again. "Not again. Not you." The soldier lowered his weapon, his hands lifted in peace. His voice was steady, though his own heart was racing. "You know me." The princess's lips trembled. For a moment she said nothing, her throat tight, her mind spinning. She wanted to run, yet her feet were rooted in place. She wanted to scream, but her voice refused her. At last, she spoke, broken words, heavy with sorrow. "You wear his face." The soldier frowned. Whose face? Her breath caught. Her eyes filled with tears that glittered in the pale moonlight. "My protector," she said softly, her voice cracking. The one who saved me when I was a child. He was human. He fought for me when no one else would. He carried me through fire and ruin. He promised he would return. But he never did. The soldier felt his heart sink. The princess's hands trembled harder. I thought he was gone. I thought he had died with the others. And now, her voice broke, a sob catching in her throat. Now you stand here with his eyes, his voice, his very soul shining through you. The soldier swallowed hard. He had never heard such words in his life. He wanted to tell her she was mistaken, that he was not the man she remembered. But the way she looked at him made the words freeze on his tongue. She wasn't just seeing him. She was seeing someone else, someone she had loved, someone she had waited for. I don't understand, the soldier finally managed. I've never been here before. I don't know your protector. I don't know you. Her tears spilled over, rolling down her cheeks. She shook her head violently. No. Do not lie to me. I know what I see. I know what I feel. You are him, or you carry him. Do not deny it. Her voice echoed through the ruins, sharp and desperate. The soldier stepped back, stunned. He had faced gunfire, blades, and beasts from other worlds, but never words like these. He did not know how to fight them. He did not know how to shield himself from the raw pain that poured from her. The princess's breaths came quick and shallow. For years, she whispered, I prayed that he would return. That one day I would see him again, walking through the broken halls. And now you are here. Her fingers gripped the pendant so tightly her knuckles turned white. If this is a dream, let it end now. If it is real, then tell me, why did you leave me all alone? The soldier's throat closed. He wanted to say, I am not him. But something in her voice stopped him. To tell her that truth now would shatter her heart in ways he could not bear to see. For the first time, he realized, this was not just a meeting. This was a wound being torn open. A wound that had never healed. And he, a stranger, had walked straight into it. He lowered his gaze, his voice quiet, almost broken. I don't know if I am who you believe me to be. But I swear to you, I will not harm you. I am not your enemy. The princess's tears fell freely now, dripping onto the broken stones at her feet. She closed her eyes, trembling from head to toe. In that silence, the soldier felt something strange. A bond forming. Fragile, uncertain, but powerful. He did not understand her shock. He did not understand her sorrow. But he knew one thing, this moment had tied them together, whether they wanted it or not. And nothing would ever be the same again. The soldier stood in silence, his chest heavy with confusion. He could still hear her words echoing in his mind. You wear his face. The alien princess stood before him like a fragile flame, her silver hair falling across her face, her body trembling as though she stood on the edge of breaking. Her lips quivered as she clutched the pendant around her neck. It was cracked, broken, but she held it like it carried the whole weight of her life. The soldier wanted to step closer, but fear kept him still. Not fear of her dagger, not fear of her kind, but fear of hurting her with his words. He had seen wounded soldiers, broken villages, children crying for parents who would never return. But this pain in her eyes was different. She finally spoke, her voice no stronger than a whisper. When I was young, my kingdom was burning. The enemy came without mercy. Fire swallowed our skies, and the palace shook with screams. My family tried to protect me, but one by one they fell. I thought I would die there too. The soldier listened, his heart tightening with every word. She continued, her voice cracking with memory. But then, he came. A man like you. A human. He fought through the fire, through the soldiers who hunted me. He lifted me into his arms and carried me away. His strength was fierce, his heart unshaken. I had never seen such courage. And though I was just a frightened child, I remember his eyes. Her gaze met his then, piercing deep. Your eyes. The soldier froze. He wanted to deny it, to tell her she was wrong. But her tears, her trembling voice, and the desperate hope in her eyes stopped him. She pressed the pendant to her lips, kissing it gently before letting it fall back against her chest. He gave me this. He said it would remind me that I was not alone. That even if the world turned to ash, I would always be protected. The soldier swallowed hard. His voice was rough when he finally spoke. What happened to him? Her shoulders shook. For a moment she said nothing, only staring at the floor as if the stones themselves carried the answer. Then she whispered, "He vanished." Her tears fell freely now. "One night, he left to fight again. He told me he would return. He promised." Her hands balled into fists. But the promise broke. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into years. I waited. I prayed. Every shadow, every sound, I thought it was him. But he never came back. Her sobs shook the room like a fragile bell. "And now," she whispered bitterly, "you stand here. With his face. With his soul." The soldier's throat tightened. He wanted to speak, but no words came. What could he tell her? That he was just another man, another soldier thrown into someone else's war? That her protector was gone forever? He could not. Because even though he did not know the man she spoke of, even though he did not believe in fate or destiny, he could not deny what he saw in her eyes. She believed. And belief was sometimes stronger than truth. "I am not him," the soldier finally said, his voice soft, almost breaking. "I have no memory of you. I have no memory of this world. But," he looked at her trembling hands, her silver eyes glistening with sorrow, "I know what it is to lose. I know what it is to wait for someone who never comes back." Her gaze snapped to his, filled with pain. And for the first time, she saw something beyond the face she thought she knew. She saw a man, scarred, weary, burdened with his own ghosts. Her lips trembled as if to speak, but no words came. She simply stood there, caught between memory and reality, between hope and heartbreak. The soldier let out a long breath. He lowered his weapon completely and knelt down, placing it on the floor where she could see it. His voice was steady. "I cannot be the man you lost. But I can stand here now. I can listen. I can fight for you if you need me." The princess's tears continued to fall, but her dagger slipped slightly in her hand. She looked at him, not with certainty, but with something fragile, something that looked almost like trust. And in that quiet, broken hall, the weight of her memory pressed against them both. Two souls, tied not by truth, but by the shadows of the past. The ruined hall was filled with silence, broken only by the sound of their breathing. Dust floated in the pale light, and the soldier could feel the weight of the moment pressing on his chest. He had told her the truth, that he was not the man she remembered. Yet the way she stared at him showed she did not accept it. Her hands trembled as she tightened her grip on the dagger at her waist. Her silver eyes glistened, sharp and wet with tears. "No," she said, her voice shaking but firm. "You are him. Do not try to deny it. I know your face, your eyes, your voice. I waited for you, prayed for you, and now you stand here, pretending you are a stranger." The soldier shook his head slowly. He kept his voice gentle, calm, even though his heart was heavy. "I am not pretending. I am not him. I don't know your past, I don't know your kingdom. But I know what it feels like to lose someone you love." Her lips trembled. The blade in her hand glimmered faintly in the light, but he did not reach for his weapon. Instead, he stayed still, his palms open, showing he was unarmed. Her voice cracked as she cried out, "Then why did you leave me? Why did you break your promise?" The soldier flinched, her words piercing him deeper than any blade could. He opened his mouth, but no sound came. How could he answer a question that did not belong to him? She stepped closer, tears falling freely down her cheeks. "Do you know what it is to wait for years? To sit in the shadows of ruins, listening for footsteps that never came? Do you know what it is to cling to one broken promise, because it is all you have left?" Her words were knives, sharp with grief. The soldier's throat tightened. He had waited before. He had waited for brothers in war who never returned, for messages from home that never came. He had known the silence of loss. He had known the pain of empty hope. "Yes," he whispered finally, his voice raw. "I know." She stopped, her dagger still raised, but her arm shook. She looked at him with wild, searching eyes, as if she wanted to see her protector inside him, as if she wanted to tear the truth from his very soul. But all she saw was a weary man, scarred by battles, standing before her without lies, without excuses. The princess's knees weakened, but her anger kept her standing. "If you are not him, then why do you look like him? Why does your voice carry his warmth? Why do you stand before me now, when I have prayed for nothing else but this?" The soldier had no answer. He only bowed his head, his silence louder than words. For a long time, neither moved. The dagger trembled in her hand, but she could not bring herself to strike. Her heart wanted to lash out, to punish him for the years of waiting, for the silence, for the loneliness. But another part of her, the part that still longed for hope, could not let go. Her tears streamed down her face as she shouted, "Do you not understand? If I believe you are him and it is false, then my heart will break forever." The soldier looked up at her then, his eyes steady, though pain lingered within them. His voice was quiet, but strong. "I cannot be the man you lost. But I can be the man who stands here now. I cannot heal your past, but I can fight to protect your present. I can choose to stay." His words hung in the air. The princess's hand shook violently, and at last, the dagger slipped from her grasp. It clattered to the ground, echoing through the ruined hall. She covered her face with her hands, her sobs breaking free. The soldier did not move closer, not yet. He only watched her, his chest aching with a pain that was not his own. In that moment, the conflict between them was not truly about who he was. It was about what she had lost, and whether she could bear to lose it again. And though her heart raged with grief and confusion, she had made one small choice. She had not struck him down. It was not forgiveness. It was not trust. But it was the first crack in the wall of her sorrow. And the soldier knew that from this fragile beginning, everything else would follow. The dagger's sound still echoed in the ruined hall, a sharp metallic ring that slowly faded into silence. The princess stood there, her hands covering her face, her shoulders shaking with sobs she could no longer hold back. For years, she had locked her heart in iron chains, forcing herself to be strong, forcing herself to believe she needed no one. But now, standing before this human who wore the face of her protector, those chains were breaking. The soldier did not move at first. He knew the moment was fragile, like holding glass in his palms. One wrong word, one wrong step, and it could shatter forever. His rifle lay abandoned on the ground, his hands open at his sides. He looked at her with quiet eyes, eyes filled with something rare in a soldier, gentleness. Finally he spoke, his voice low but steady. "Maybe I'm not the man you remember. Maybe I'm not the one who made you that promise. But I can be the one who stands with you now." The princess lowered her hands slowly, her tear-streaked face turned toward him. Her silver eyes were red from crying, her lips trembling with both anger and longing. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I waited for him. I prayed for him. I built my whole hope on his return. Every night I dreamed he would walk through those doors. And now you come, with his eyes, with his voice. If I believe again, and it is false, my heart will die." The soldier's chest ached at her words. He had no answer that could erase her years of waiting, no power to undo her grief. All he could offer was himself, here and now. He stepped forward slowly, careful not to frighten her. His voice softened even more. "Then don't believe in who I was. Believe in who I am. I don't want to replace him. I don't want to take his place in your memory. But I want to stand with you, because no one should carry this alone." Her body shook as her tears fell harder. She wanted to resist him, to push him away. But her strength was gone. She had carried loneliness for too long, and this moment had broken something inside her that she could never repair alone. Her knees gave out beneath her. She collapsed onto the stone floor, her silken dress pooling around her. Her hands pressed against the cold ground as her voice broke into sobs. I cannot bear it again. If I let you stay, and you vanish too, I will not survive it." The soldier moved quickly, kneeling before her. He did not touch her at first, afraid she would reject even the smallest comfort. But when she fell forward, her hands clutching his armor as if to hold herself together, he caught her gently. His arms wrapped around her trembling frame, steady and warm. Her head rested against his chest, and for the first time in years, The princess allowed herself to weep without restraint. Her cries echoed in the hollow chamber, raw and painful, yet also cleansing. She no longer cared if he was her lost protector, or only a stranger who carried his shadow. She needed someone, anyone, to hold her now. The soldier closed his eyes, his grip firm and protective. His voice was quiet, almost like a vow. I cannot promise forever. But I can promise today. I can promise this moment. I am here, and I will not let go. The princess clung to him tighter, her sobs slowly softening. Her words came out broken, almost inaudible. Don't leave me again. His throat tightened. He wanted to tell her the truth, that he had no past with her, that he could not erase her scars. But in this moment, truth was not what she needed. She needed presence. She needed someone who would not turn away. So he gave her the only truth he could. I'm here now, he whispered. That is all I can give. And in that ruined hall, surrounded by shadows and silence, something changed. The princess, once frozen in shock, once bound by grief, allowed herself to lean on him. It was not forgiveness. It was not love. But it was the first step toward something greater, a fragile beginning born from shared pain. And for the first time in years, she did not feel completely alone. The night was still around them. The broken palace walls held only silence, as if the ruins themselves listened to their voices. The princess remained in his arms, her tears slowly calming, though her breaths were still uneven. She had not been held like this in years. The warmth of another heartbeat against her cheek felt both frightening and comforting. When at last her sobs softened, she pulled back slightly. Her silver eyes searched his face with a look of uncertainty, as if she feared he might vanish the moment she let go. Her voice trembled. You say you are not him, but then why does my heart recognize you? The soldier shook his head gently. I don't know. Maybe it is chance. Maybe it is fate. Or maybe, you see in me the hope you've been carrying all these years. Her fingers tightened on the broken pendant at her neck. Hope can be cruel, she whispered. It gives light, but it also burns when it is false. I don't know if I can trust again. The soldier sat down on the cold stone floor, his armor clinking softly. He looked at her with calm eyes, filled with a patient strength. Then don't give me your trust yet. Let me earn it. Don't believe in my past, believe in my actions now. Let me stand beside you, not because of who I remind you of, but because I choose to. The princess's lips parted as if to argue, but she stopped. His words were different from the promises she once heard. The man she remembered had promised forever. But this one promised now. And somehow that felt more real. Still, her heart wavered. She rose to her feet, pacing slowly across the cracked floor. Her long hair brushed against her shoulders, glimmering faintly in the moonlight. She stopped, her back turned to him, and spoke in a soft, broken voice. If I let you stay, if I let myself believe, and you leave me like he did, then there will be nothing left of me. The soldier stood as well, his step steady as he approached. He stopped just a breath away, not touching her, but close enough that his words would reach her clearly. I cannot promise I will never fall. I cannot promise I will never be taken by war. But I can promise this, I will not choose to leave you. As long as I breathe, I will stand. She closed her eyes. The battle inside her heart was fierce, hope against fear, memory against reality. She wanted to push him away, to protect herself from another wound. But she also wanted to believe, to let the warmth she felt in his presence heal her broken soul. At last, she turned to him. Her tears still shone on her cheeks, but her gaze was softer now, fragile yet filled with longing. She dropped the pendant against her chest and let her hands fall to her sides. Slowly, she whispered, then stay. Stay with me, if only for tonight. Show me that your words are not empty. The soldier nodded, his voice firm. I will. A silence followed, but it was no longer heavy with fear. It was quiet, calm, like the first light of dawn after a long night of storm. The princess sank down against the broken wall, her body tired from both grief and release. The soldier sat beside her, not too close, but close enough that she could feel his presence. For a while, neither spoke. They simply breathed in the silence together, two souls scarred by different battles, yet drawn to the same fragile hope. At last, she leaned her head lightly against his shoulder. It was not trust, not yet. But it was a choice. A choice to let someone in, even if her heart trembled at the risk. The soldier did not move, did not speak. He only sat still, steady as stone, letting her know he was there. And in that ruined hall, something unspoken passed between them. A fragile bond, born not of promises or past lives, but of a decision, her decision to let him stay, and his decision to never turn away. It was not the end of her sorrow, nor the end of her fear. But it was the beginning of something new. And beginnings, no matter how small, carried power. The night grew colder, but inside the broken palace hall, warmth lingered. The princess rested her head lightly against the soldier's shoulder. Her breaths were steady now, her tears mostly dry, though her heart was still fragile, like glass after a storm. The soldier sat without moving, his body aching from battles fought, yet his spirit strangely calm. He had walked through war and ruin, seen fire swallow cities, and buried brothers who never returned. But in this moment, holding the weight of her trust, small and trembling though it was, he felt a responsibility heavier than any war he had fought. The princess broke the silence first. Her voice was quiet, almost childlike. "Do you think he sent you? The one I lost. Do you think he guided you here?" The soldier hesitated. He was a man of earth and steel, not of faith or destiny. Yet looking at her, at the hope trembling in her voice, he could not crush it. He chose his words carefully. "Maybe he could not return, but maybe he wanted you to find someone who would not leave you. Maybe that is why I am here now." Her silver eyes lifted to him, shimmering in the faint moonlight. "If that is true," she whispered, "then perhaps I am not cursed to be alone." Her words pierced him. He knew loneliness well, but the loneliness she carried was far deeper, an endless waiting, a wound that had never healed. The soldier turned slightly toward her. His voice was steady, carrying a quiet vow. "You are not alone. Not anymore. As long as I stand, I will not abandon you." The princess's lips trembled, and for a moment she said nothing. Then, slowly, she leaned closer, resting her forehead against his chest. Her hands, delicate but strong, clutched at his armor as though she feared he might still vanish. "Don't let go," she whispered. His arms wrapped around her, steady and sure. "I won't." For the first time in years, she allowed herself to believe. Not in the promise of forever, but in the truth of now. And somehow that was enough. The ruins around them seemed less dark. The broken walls no longer felt like a tomb, but like a witness to something new. She, once frozen in grief, had begun to move again. And he, a soldier who had carried only duty, had found something greater than war. Hours passed quietly, the moon traveling across the shattered ceiling. The princess did not sleep, but she no longer cried. She simply breathed, listening to the steady heartbeat of the man beside her. At last, she spoke again, her voice soft but filled with strength that had not been there before. "You may not be him, but you are here, and that is enough for me." The soldier closed his eyes for a moment, letting the words sink into his heart. He knew he could never erase her past, nor replace the man she had lost. But perhaps he did not need to. Perhaps being present, being real, was enough. He looked down at her, his hand brushing a strand of silver hair from her face. "And you," he said gently, "are enough for me." A faint smile touched her lips, small but true, the first smile she had given in many years. And so, in the heart of ruins, a bond was born. Not out of promises long broken, not out of memories too heavy to carry, but out of the choice they made together in the present moment. The princess, once lost in sorrow, had found someone willing to stand with her. The soldier, once a wanderer in endless war, had found someone worth protecting not out of duty, but out of heart. She had frozen the moment she first saw him, struck by shock and memory. But now, she was no longer frozen. She had chosen to move forward. And as the dawn light crept into the ruined hall, painting the stones with gold, the soldier knew one thing with certainty. This was no longer just her story. It was theirs.